This is the new Metro New York market.
Hi everybody, it's Zak Romanoff here, the brand advocate, OMNI Food Sales. I'm here with a very special friend, one of my best friends, one of my longest standing friends from college, the University of Connecticut, Joe Cunningham. He's here, and we've had some great conversations most recently, the last couple months, that I thought, damn, we should have recorded that. That's podcast worthy. You know, we're sharing some real gems.
Yeah.
So I have some exciting news to share. The brand advocate clothing line is launching, is coming, introducing it to the world, and I thought you've been a great friend to me since before I started posting 5 years ago, and you're familiar with my journey, which started longer than that. So I thought, who better to introduce this to the world to than you?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for popping my podcast cherry, and hopefully our conversations go as well. I wish I didn't know it was being recorded, and then it could just flow, but we'll get it. It'll be good.
It's just right here, you and me. That's it.
So, me personally, I got a ton of questions for you, and I think I started rattling off a bunch of them, but we might as well talk about it here. Okay. So, first question I have is, so we went to college at UConn. You had this absolute, you were obsessed with sports, and basketball in particular, and that was you were trying to find any way. You knew you weren't going to make the NBA. I'm pretty sure you figured that out early in life. But
I need 2 more inches, and then
but you wanted to be involved somehow, and after graduating, when I started watching you kind of get involved in the family business and Omni, I was curious to see how it was going to go, because I was like, is Zak going to find that passion in that business? Because I knew it was something you in college, you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to see which way you want it to go, trying to find your passion. And I was curious to see if you would find it at the family business. And I just binge watched your entire 19-episode podcast over the past 3 days. I apologize to my wife.
I apologize too to you.
But I really wanted to get my arms wrapped around kind of your venture and where you kind of started with this and where you went with this. And it I think it's awesome, and I think you truly did find your passion. I think you found a niche within your family business that you've made your own, it seems like, and I saw you progress to as a rep, to then you became, I think, VP, maybe something in between, but then now you're president running the whole company, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So you started putting out content, which I was not surprised about, because when I saw the podcast thing, I was like, when I saw that whole wave come into play with Rogan and all these guys, I was like, Zak is at some point going to get involved with this, because you did the show and all the stuff in college that we did, which was a great experience for me, just to watch you go through it and be a part of it. How did you find your passion within the food business? It's not a sexy business. Like me, I'm in technology sales, copiers and printers. It's not a sexy business, but you find your passion, because like you said in some of your podcasts, whatever you do, you got to do it the best, be the best at it. So where did you find the passion? Because I know you didn't jump into it being this is the end all be all. What happened? Can you explain that?
Yeah. Well, it starts since a young kid, because my father is an entrepreneur and founded 2 companies. So from growing up as a young kid, the family business was always there.
Right. And
I saw how much he put into that, and it required all of him. And I saw it a lot.
Yeah.
I did. So as a young kid, I learned customer service, customer skills, relationship, and leadership, and all these things.
Yeah.
And I saw how much my father gave to that.
Yeah.
So then, and as a kid, all these, being the leader, being the boss mentality was always there.
Yeah.
But I'm also very passionate about sports.
Yeah.
And always watched basketball and football.
Yeah.
That led me to UConn, being a manager of the basketball team, wanting to be a sports agent. And when the family business is always there, it kind of becomes all you know.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't get a taste of anything else in the outside world.
Right.
You don't know what it's like to eat dirt from other people, or to have your plate ripped out from your plate before you eat it, or to have your stomach kicked in the gut from someone else. You're just used to being in, and everyone is always nice to you because you're part of the boss's family.
Right.
So I always wanted to try and do something on my own. And basketball, I am very passionate about, and it was something that I really wanted to do, to be an agent for players.
Right.
And went to UConn, built that record, was a manager for Calhoun and the men's team, was an employee of Madison Square Garden, was there with the Knicks and the Liberty, and became an agent.
Yeah.
You know, rubbed shoulders with the biggest agents in the business, started my own sports agency while working a regular job, and effectively signed players, and then effectively landed those players' jobs. And in doing that, not only did it help my self-esteem and self-confidence, but I was achieving a dream.
Yeah.
And in doing that and achieving that dream, it actually showed me along the way things that I didn't like about it.
Yeah.
There were parts of that business that I realized I wasn't in control of what was going on. In other words, I could do all the right things, recruit this, execute that, but that industry is just kind of wild, where you could do all the right things and still lose, you know? So it actually drew me back to, well, you know what? The family business was, you know, I see what it is. It's not the sexiest business, but it's something that provides.
Can I cut you off?
Yes.
In hindsight, I have to imagine that was such an important experience for you to learn and doing it on your own. Because I do feel like there's like a stigma, and what do I know, but this is like stuff I read, like a lot of family and generational businesses get, I see it in my industry a little bit, talking to business owners. And they either have a son or a daughter that's either just not interested or not competent enough or capable enough, right? Because they've been handed the keys and they're like, there's no pressure. There's no like, if I fail at this, I fail. It's like, oh, I'll get picked up. So kudos to you for like going out on your own and trying to become successful on your own, because my guess would be that experience has helped you greatly with what you're doing now.
Yeah, and what you said is right. It's two things. The person has to want to do it in the family business, and they have to be capable to do it. Right? You need those two things.
Yeah.
And in achieving that, it really helped my self-confidence, because it was a dream, and I worked years to do it. I didn't have unlimited funds. I used my own limited funds to do it, and I was going against people that had a lot of funds, you know, and I still did it. And I had offers from the biggest agents to work with them, decided not, and decided to start my own company, and I did. So that gave me a lot of closure. In doing that, you know, when you realize a dream, you don't have to look in the rearview mirror and say, what if?
Yeah.
You know, what if I didn't try? I should have tried to do this at some point in my life.
Yeah.
I can say I did it. And now, when I went to Omni full-time, I was in with both feet, firmly planted in the ground, because I'd seen my father for years. I knew what it was, and now I'm going to give it my all, and I know what this is. I don't have to wonder what if. And I also had an appreciation. If I went right into the family business, right out of school, I don't think I'd be how I am right now.
Yeah.
Because just the hunger, the fire, the flame, the experience from understanding what it's like.
Well, you'd have had that bug, that what if bug.
The what if would have been there every day.
Yeah.
You know, you're driving home from work after busting your hump, and you're driving in traffic, and you're like, what am I doing this all for?
Right.
And, you know, the fact that I did something already, like I said, it was a dream come true. I walked away from it, and I came to this.
Yeah.
So I came in ready for whatever was going to come my way, because in starting my own sports agency, I didn't have a lot of money. I drained all my personal savings to start the company, to recruit, to travel, and to compete with people that had significant budgets.
Right.
But I did it, and it made a big impact on me.
So that prepares you to jump into Omni, and where you knew, like, I'm going all in. Like, this is what I'm doing. It's like a separate facet. So explain your dad's business a little bit. Like, what? I know there's multiple parts. Omni's one part of the business.
There's two businesses.
Okay.
There's OMNI Food Sales, which is what's known in our industry terminology as a food broker.
Which you hate.
Right. Which I had to rename. We are brand advocates.
Yes.
You know,
that was very clear from your podcast.
Thank you. A food broker is like a stockbroker or a real estate agent.
Right.
It's a generic term that describes a person that brokers a deal.
Transactional. It gets deals and you move on. It's not a relationship. It's not long term. It's quick.
And maybe 25 years ago,
right.
you had a brand of meat. You wanted to sell it into a supermarket. You hired someone and they got you in. 25 years ago, that worked.
Right.
Today, there are so many different responsibilities required of a broker that the name just didn't apply. It didn't fit.
Right.
We've got to forecast. We've got to project. We've got to manage inventory. In some cases, we have to do the ordering for customers that principals and customers agree for us to do, and then manage the inventory when it's in a warehouse.
Right.
We have to enter the promotions. We have to suggest when the promotion should run. We have to negotiate all different terms of items going in, presenting, getting them in, providing the retail coverage in the stores, a myriad of things. And broker didn't cut it because broker it sold us short.
Yeah.
And I was actually in a meeting with someone that I really cared about, and they were like, "Oh, he's an effing broker. What does he know?" And I was like, "Wow!" Like they disrespected a broker right in front of me, knowing that I am a broker. And I said, "That's it." That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And I had been in enough interviews before that where people walked away when they heard I was a broker. I said, "I've got to do something to differentiate." So Brand Advocate was born from that. And that was a few years ago. And ever since I started to put that out, people reacted to it. They said, "Hey, they support it." They said, "I really like what you're about. You are right. It's about time someone updated that term."
Right.
I mean, think about it. How many industries do people suffer from a stigma with a shortened term for the role they play?
Well, yes, it's interesting how language evolves over time, right? Because I'm sure 50 years ago or 30 years ago or 25 years ago, broker was probably a good term. It probably made more sense, but that has evolved. Similar to like, I'm in sales, right? So I think about the word sales. Like the first thing people think about when it comes to sales is like used car salesman, slippery, sneaky,
Yes.
like, just trying to get one over on you. You can't trust them. But it's like the exact opposite. Like, when I started reading books like that, opened my eyes to like sales, and it was like it's arguably one of the most like important jobs in the world, because where are all the best ideas in the world?
Where are all the best ideas in the world?
Where can you find so many of the best ideas in the world?
Like a country or a place in society?
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
It's in the graveyard.
In
Right?
the graveyard. Ooh.
Because
they never made it to life.
They never made it to life. And why? How many businesses died that had really good products, really good ideas, but never got someone to buy it and to pay for it and to get it? And that's the job of a salesperson, is to like bring that to light and explain to someone why this benefits them. Because good business is when the customer benefits from it, the company selling it, and that sales rep sells it. Because if the sales rep doesn't make any commission, they're not going to do a good job again. If the customer doesn't get a good deal, they're not going to work with that guy again. If the company doesn't make their money, they're going to go out of business. So everyone has to win in these deals, and that's in my opinion like business. And that's what it reminded me of when you were talking about how that word broker, like it's not a word I hear a lot in my where I'm at, but that's what it reminded me of, because it sounds like that word broker is like become almost like has a bad reputation.
It's becoming cheap.
Yeah.
For some reason, and not to knock real estate agents or stockbrokers out there,
right.
But I'm sure people watching this, real estate brokers and stockbrokers and mortgage brokers,
right.
can probably relate to this on some level, and may even be able to say or think, I should be termed something else. This doesn't describe the role that I play.
Right.
Like real estate agents, maybe they're lifestyle designers. They have to take so many factors into consideration,
right.
finding a home for a family.
Yeah.
They're not just a one-time transaction. They want that client for life. They want that person's friends and family and
right.
people in the neighborhood to work with them.
Right.
So that's where Brand Advocate came from.
I like it.
Long story short, and it's resonated really well.
Yeah.
And I forgot where we're going with that. I know you asked. So Omni was one of two companies.
Oh yeah, this is why our conversations are so good, because they sidetrack so well that we're like 30 minutes on a separate topic.
Right. But Omni fit my personality better. So from the beginning, I said, this is the way I want to go. I liked the personality feel of it, visiting customers, kind of being a hub of information.
And then Omni is the almost sales and relationship side of things, where you talk to the people that buy, and then you talk to the actual brands that are trying to get on the shelves.
Yes.
Okay.
Omni's the equivalent of what a sports agency is, just with food manufacturers.
See, so that's where you find your passion.
That is where I found my passion, because it's the same elements,
Yeah.
it's the same role, it's the same being
Instead
with
of
people.
representing players, you're representing brands.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what attracted me to it from the beginning.
Yeah.
I just had to learn to substitute the sports for the food brands. And actually, why I found so much passion, because there's a lot more certainty in the food industry.
Okay.
It's a lot more stable. There's a lot of continuity.
Can't blow out your knee.
Can't blow out your knee, but you can get discontinued,
Yeah.
or you can have a product recall, or
Yeah.
you can do something that messes with a customer.
Right.
So the risks are still there.
Yeah.
But by and large, when you deal with these food processors, They want stability and they appreciate stability. And if you come in and day out, and I'm talking 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years,
Right.
Omni's repped some brands for 25 years. They appreciate that growth.
Right.
Whereas you see other industries, there's a lot of turnover.
Right. Huh. Now, one of the things you attributed to your success when you were a rep, which probably translated to how you hired and you taught people and kind of how you wanted your company represented, was by a mentor, I think, that passed. And it reminded me very much of a mentor of mine that passed, that kind of taught the old school way of doing things.
Yes.
Tuck in your shirt.
Yeah.
You know, always
on
follow
time.
up, always be on time. You know, just like the basic things. Like one of the things I learned early on in sales, I used to say yeah all the time.
Yes.
And that was, that's how you talk. So I was like, that's the least of my worries. I say a lot worse than that. And I had a mentor that was just like, stop. Like, do you know how unprofessional it sounds when you say yeah and not yes? And it's hard to make that little change and that little switch. Like you would never think of it, but it sounds like you learned a lot of almost like basic common sense things that aren't taught in school or aren't talked about. At least definitely our generation and definitely the younger than us generation. So is that, you talk about him a lot, and I really like that about kind of the lessons you learned. Is that something you teach like the different the different advocates that you hire and that represent the different companies that you work with?
Yes, absolutely. So the mentor you're referring to is Jimmy Aiello.
Yes.
And he was a former meat butcher.
That name.
He was a former meat butcher.
Speaking of butcher, that his name would have been butchered by me. I can't.
And he was a big guy.
Yeah.
He was tough looking. He was gangly looking, but he was a gentleman, and he was smooth. He served in the Vietnam War, came back. He was a high school dropout. Didn't go to high school. Didn't go to college. Came back from the war, got a job in a supermarket as an assistant in a store, and over a period of 10 years worked his way up to be in charge of over 100 supermarkets himself.
Wow.
Just adhering to those principles that are really based in the military. I mean, those things we talked about are military themes.
Yeah.
Be on time, stand up straight, tuck in your shirt, yes sir, follow up timely. Really military principles.
I bet you he makes his bed every morning.
Makes his bed, leaves everything straight.
Yeah.
So when I came in, here I am, a kid, went to 4-year college, got my master's degree, and now I'm learning a completely new industry. And I'm getting schooled. And where I thought I was sharp, on top of things, I would send in emails, hey, John, hey, Sarah. He'd be like, no, slow it down, Zach. Hello, John. How are you doing? Things like that. Rounded me out, smoothed me out, professionalism.
Yeah.
And a slew of other things that I learned from him, where I learned it's not necessarily the smartest person that gets a job done. In most cases, it's about relationships. So many industries, from Hollywood to banking to any industry you could think of, probably 70% in our country are relationship-based. And what I mean is there's at least 3 suppliers or 3 people that could be hired for any job. What it comes down to is who people want. It doesn't come down to the lowest cost most of the time.
People buy from people.
They buy from people who they know, like, and trust.
Right.
And want to have a pleasant experience with.
Yeah.
So Jimmy schooled me. I mean, he was also an early bird. He was in the office very early. You know.
I liked when you said when you came in even 5 minutes late, what he would say to you.
He would. So my start time when I first started was 7 a.m. Had to be in the office at 7 a.m. When I was training him, and I trailed him. I went on 100 meetings shadowing him. And if I came into the office on a Friday morning, maybe Thursday night, I wanted to watch the Jersey Shore because back then it was a popular show. If I came in at 7:15 or 7:20, he'd be like, "Good afternoon, sunshine. How you doing today?" I'm like, "Oh, great." And I had to walk by his office to get to my desk.
Yeah.
There was no hiding him, and he was there at 5:30.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was forced into early retirement. I had 4 years shadowing him. God rest his soul. He had leukemia, but he was a huge influence on me, and I absolutely take those elements, and I instill that in the team now. You know, we're millennials, you know, we're considered this age cohort that lost people skills and is all tech-based, but we are really the last generation to have the balance of having to grow up and have people skills. You want to play with friends out. If you want to have friends, you had to learn how to play at the community center or the playground or at camp or after school. We didn't have Instagram or Facebook. That started literally when we were in college.
We were one of the first to get it because we had the UConn email address.
Right.
That was one of the first ones that they used was UConn.
Was it?
Yeah, we were one of the first 5 schools to get it. I'm pretty sure. Fact check.
I remember when it came, and I remember being able to scout people on campus.
Yeah.
If you met someone and got their name, all of a sudden you could scout them out.
Right.
And before that, you had to physically be around campus meeting people if you wanted to know them.
Yep.
And that requires work and effort and people skills. And we were, in my opinion, we were the last age cohort to have that. Yeah. Because everyone else underneath us now, you could see someone's whole life story, what they did Thanksgiving, what they did for spring break, and what their family's like without even speaking to that person.
Yep. Yeah, you're so right. And I just remember, just making phone calls. You know what's funny is I don't remember many phone numbers. The only ones I remember are my friends' home phone numbers. I remember 5 or 6 friends, home phone numbers, because I used to have to dial it when I was a little kid.
Same here.
And their cell phones, which I called a million times more, I have no idea. It's in my
Same
phone.
here.
But it's interesting. It's like the little shortcut. I read about this guy, Jim Quick. He teaches little tricks with your mind. And he's saying because our brains don't have to remember things like phone numbers or directions somewhere, it's actually rewiring our brains. Partially, I think good because maybe we can focus on something more productive and better or whatever. But partially not good because we're learning those little tricks that we use to remember things and just to survive. If you want to get somewhere, you gotta take a let. I bet you if you asked Jimmy how to get somewhere, he would tell you, go to the statue. When you get to the statue, take a left. And you're like, don't worry, I'm just going to put it.
That's exactly what would be my response. And he would want to talk to me. He wouldn't want to leave until he told me exactly how to do it.
Yes,
but I wasn't capturing any of it. But I was just polite. I was like, okay. You got it? You got it? And then he would quiz me. He's like, all right, so what do you do after the third leg? I'm like, see, you weren't listening. And then he would say, a good pencil is better than a long memory.
I like that.
And he would bust my ass to write things down.
Yeah.
So now, whenever I'm in meetings with my people, I look around. Yeah. And if people are not writing anything down, I'm worried that they're not going to retain everything.
It's true.
So I say it. I say, does everybody have a pen? Everybody writing this down? Because you know what? We work too hard to repeat things twice. Yeah. We can't do it.
Yeah. It's a waste of time. Yeah. I read something. I think same guy was saying how a lot of people are taking notes on their iPads or computers or whatever. It's actually harder to remember stuff when you do it that way than if you write it down. Actually moving
because it reinforces in your brain. Yeah. You actually have to think and write that.
There's actual science behind taking notes.
I'm glad because that's what I've been. And a lot of people say, why don't you type? No. Yeah. I'm old school. I keep a pad with me all the time, and I'm always writing it down. Yeah. And I'll have different ideas all on the same page, and I'll write until that page is full. But I'll know exactly, okay, I was writing about this topic here. I was writing about this conversation here. I have this to-do list here. And then I just cross it off as I go. Yeah. I was thrust into a leadership position at a young age. And the hardest part of the job for me was generating new business, getting clients. And I'll tell you, it's really hard, to get the names of the people, get a meeting with someone, and then sell them on yourself in the meeting. It was so hard. And I went through dozens of these cycles of interviews, of doing all this, and coming away with nothing. And you get one every once in a while, whatnot, but I had a big appetite. I wanted to really make an impact. I didn't want to just keep things how they were going. I knew I needed to throw a lot on the fire to build this where I wanted it to be. So how do I do that? Well, I thought to myself, these interviews, we're killing it in these interviews. And some people buy into it, some people don't. But I thought to myself, what if we recorded this interview? Showing the things that we did and put it online. And my father and other leaders were like, no. Our industry, we stay on the sideline. We make it all about them. But I said, but if people saw what we just did on YouTube, they would be like, I want to work with them because they see what we're about. So there was a lot of resistance at first, but I insisted on it, but got a film crew together and wrote a script. And another interesting element is from the day I had the idea of recording What is the Network, that video, to actually filming it and putting it out was 1 year's time.
Oh, wow.
A full year.
Wow.
It wasn't like I just had the idea and I started doing it.
Was it because you wanted it perfect, or was it because you wanted certain people in it and you had to?
It was a combination of things, but the biggest thing was I was busy managing the business.
Right.
So my father's team had all retired and moved on, and I had to recruit, hire, and train a whole new team.
Right.
And I went through a lot of people. There was a lot of turnover. I've learned a lot about personalities. There are people that interview really well, and then when it comes time to them getting in a car and going from point A to point B, they somehow found a reason to not do it, and then they could lie to you and tell you why they didn't do it. And then I have customers that would tell me, yeah, this person told me he was coming here, he never came, it's been 2 months. What?
Yeah. So someone told me one time, when you interview, I interview a lot of people, and when you interview someone, you're actually not meeting that person.
You're not.
You're meeting their representative.
Absolutely. You're meeting the best ideal version of themselves.
When I heard that, I was like, that makes so much sense, because it's so hard. It's, some people just interview really, really well, but there's no substance behind it. It's hard to figure that out in a short amount of time.
No, I've seen it all. I've seen people that debilitated themselves with addictions, that were the best at their job but just couldn't keep it together. Yeah. I've had superstar players that couldn't stand sharing, couldn't stand being part of a team.
Right.
And actually had to let them go, the difficult decision to let them go, because they were harmful to the team's culture.
By the way, have you seen Ted Lasso?
No.
The TV show on Apple?
No.
It is mandatory you watch it, because I'm not going to explain it, but like you'll absolutely love it. It's this guy from Kansas that coaches football, high school football. No, college football, I think. Like Division II. Gets recruited by someone who's trying to ruin a Premier League soccer team. Okay. To try to like as a joke. And he like brings people together, and it's just I highly like it's right up your alley. You'll absolutely love it. But it's all about that. It's about how like even if someone on the team is top performer, doesn't mean it's the best thing for the team.
Yeah, it's a painful reality, because you see some people that can perform far and away better than other people, but you can't disrupt your company. You can't have a place where other people are not happy to go to work, or they even want to quit because they're being put down by someone else who feeds off that. So I had always been a strong leader myself. You remember like starting in high school and college, like just the fantasy football leagues and the things that we had done together at UConn, the fraternity, the video, the show, all the things we've done. I'd always been a strong leader, and I can't stand bullies. So I had to get a team in place. It took me a year, growing the business, and then hiring the right people, writing the script, and putting something together that would represent us well. So it came, we finally did it, we put the video out, and there was hesitation even when I put it out, but then as soon as I put it out, within 3 months, we got hired by 3 new lines. Wow. And that was a hot streak for us.
That's all you need to do.
And then right after that was when the Korean government reached out to me and said, would you give a speech to 50 of the largest food exporters from Korea? It was a delegation from their government. Crazy. So, went to the penthouse floor of the Trump Soho building, and when I gave that speech, I didn't need notes, I didn't need a card. That was where I arrived at the intersection of passion and purpose, because I was at a sweet spot where I was in the zone, sharing my content. People were really appreciating that content, and I was connecting with people, which is what I really like to do. And it's just been a snowball since then. You mentioned the classes and teachings, and I've also had people that now want to work at Omni. There are companies that we can now be more selective about who we work with, because I've put these messages out. And it's been a beautiful thing. And I didn't intend for all these other things to happen. I just wanted Omni to get more business to represent, more lines to represent. And that's happened in a big way. So,
I mean, what you're doing is, again, I don't know the business, but I have to imagine it's pretty unique. Like, I don't know how many people that are in the food industry that have, been interviewed on radio stations. Like, I can't imagine that there's a lot of them. So I feel like what you're doing is pretty unique. And again, it's not surprising, because one of the things in college that I really admired was when you had an idea, like, you executed on it. You figured out how to do it. Like,
thank you.
And again, I'm someone that I feel like I have a new idea every day, but like executing on it is so hard and takes such discipline, and you really have to go after it. And there's speed bumps, challenges, and like I've always admired that you're like I don't care. Like it is what it is. And even like doing the show at school and then this podcast now, it's like something like I would love to start a podcast, but it's like I'm busy, or I'm doing this, Like it's awesome to see you actually execute on the things that you set your mind to. And what's even more impressive to me is that you stay genuine. Like I watch a lot of like podcasts and things like that, and I feel like people do sometimes go into like character mode on like these podcasts, and you don't. Like even now, I was nervous like being filmed and all this stuff, but like now that we're talking, I'm just like it's the same. Like I'm still talking the same. Like what? There's no nerves. There's nothing. So it's very nice to see you stay kind of genuine in who you are, doing all the things that you're doing, and I get the sense that translates at your work too. Just because one of the things you've always been is like just super kind. Like you've been always just a kind person to everybody you've met, and that is challenging in a leadership role because you're trying to do right by everybody and you're trying to be kind, but you know. Making tough decisions and making people move and firing people, like that stuff's hard for anybody, but it's especially hard for someone that actually cares about somebody. So I'm curious to see, have you ever taken one of those like DISC assessments or like personality like tests? There's a bunch of different ones. But
no, I mean I've done some real loose stuff in a friend setting, but I'm
curious to see because we did one at my company, and it's like something like 80 or 90% of people in leadership roles have a D personality, which is like dominant, like quick to make decisions, super confident, they just get it done, and that's why they kind of rise at a company. But from what I'm reading, like the S personality, which is like the supportive, caring, like struggles to make decisions, cares about what people think and stuff like that. Like that's kind of rising with like the new generation of people who are just always asking why. Like I feel like there's like the shift of like people being like, do it because that's your job. Why am I doing this? Because that's your job. Just do it. If you don't want to work here, don't work here. And now it's like you can't do that to people. At least in my experience, like people want to know, why am I putting it at this rate instead of this rate?
Yeah.
Why does this customer get this price and this one gets? Like people just want to know, like want to see behind the curtain almost, like way more than I think the past. I'm not sure,
That's one of OMNI's core values.
Okay.
That I make sure we read and recite and give examples of and talk about. That everyone knows why they're doing the tasks that they're doing.
Okay.
The thing is, in our generation, the day we live right now, people have choices.
Yeah.
People want to feel a part of something.
Yeah.
We're all humans. We all have feelings. We want to feel connected. We want to have a sense of self-worth, some dignity. And that's part of it. The older generation was a little bit tougher. There wasn't a lot of awareness about mental abuse, about personality disorders. You see it with people just going crazy because they didn't kind of get things out or do things that they like to do.
Yeah.
So that's a big value for me. But going back to two things that you said two things. I wanted to go back.
I said a lot.
Yeah. So the first one was, I think it was, were you scared putting it out there in the food industry?
Yeah.
So yes. There was no one to follow a model from. But I just knew that, hey, I was spending a lot of time sitting in the office, having to grow this business. How do I do it? And the big concern was people are going to steal this information. You're going to give information out. Other people are going to copy it, and they're going to do what we do. And to that I said, go ahead and do it. That means you actually have to go out and do the work.
Yeah.
And I'm very careful not to relay sensitive information, proprietary information, because I deal with pricing, with dollars, with volumes that are exchanged on a high level.
Right.
So I don't exchange all that in any of my talks.
Right.
But I give just enough to show that I'm a decent person, human being, someone that you want to transact and do business with.
Right.
So it was scary at the beginning, putting it out there. There was a lot of crickets at the beginning. I'd put some things out there, and I get all the insights, like for posts and all that.
Yeah.
So I could see, and I could tell you, like, the amount of people that watch something or look at something compared to who actually likes or comments is probably between 1% and 5%.
Yeah.
And I know some people say, oh, your interaction should be 10%, but I'm telling you it's even less.
Yeah.
So many people watch things and don't say anything.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But when you're on the other side of that, and you've taken those painful, brave first steps to put yourself out there, it's easy to get discouraged. You say, I only got 6 likes.
Right.
I only got 1 comment. I didn't get any comments. But I'll tell you what happened. I would be traveling in my circles in the industry, at buyers' offices, at events, at food shows. And people would come up to me and say, I saw your video. I'm like, what? Like, he didn't like it. He didn't comment it.
Yeah.
He saw it.
Yeah.
Like, this owner saw it.
Huh.
And that happened a couple of times with my father. Like, we were together. And, like, unannounced, total random encounters in places that we didn't plan on.
Yeah.
It happened multiple times. Like, even when we were out of state. And that's when he realized, and it even helped me to realize that, like, there's real traction here.
Yeah.
So I started doing it, and then my competitors do watch. And that's part of this, too. They even come to the events where I'm speaking at. And a lot of times they're many years my elder. But that's okay. What I wanted to do was put myself out there and show that I'm here just like everybody else.
Right.
I'm competing. I can do the same thing that you've had Joe so-and-so for, not Joe so-for, Larry so-and-so for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
I know you and him have a great relationship, and you go fishing every year, and you got it real tight, but I can do everything he can and more.
Yeah.
And I'm hungrier, and if you hire me, I can do this for 30 more years. And that has helped in putting that out there. So that was one part of what you said. And then there was another element that you said that I wanted to talk on, too. I forget what it was, though.
I don't know, but I do have another question.
All right, shoot.
Based on that, if you think about it, bring it back up. But the when you first started doing it compared to now, did you get nervous at all, like in the beginning, and like even like setting this up and trying to do this, like do you get nervous, like do the nerves kick in when you're like being filmed and like you know this is going out there and anybody could see it? Like,
No. At the beginning, I did get nervous, but like I said, I had entered a rare place, the intersection of passion and purpose. It's a real MFing thing. Like, I'm serious. It's so rare. So many people in this world are passionate about something.
Right.
Most oftentimes, it's sports, or cars, or fashion, or kids, or animals.
Right.
Very rarely do you find someone that their purpose, their means to income, or majority of what they spend their time on is their passion. And for me doing what I did and getting it out of my system, walking away from the sports agency and applying those same skills to the food industry, I am at that intersection where when I get recorded or I get asked to speak, it's almost like a relief. It's like, finally, I can go and share my stories now and share my examples now. Because I spend so much time in the bunkers.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not your average leader. A lot of leaders kind of want to sit back, or they're all in and they're not back enough.
Right.
But I'm a combination of both. You know, I can talk on the highest levels about theory, about practice, how to do things, but I could also go into a store and talk to a meat manager, and I could sell something.
Right.
I can do both. I can relate to, you know, sons of millionaires and billionaires, and have a regular conversation with them, and I can go and talk to a minimum wage employee, and I can make both those people feel heard.
Yeah, one of the things you said in one of the podcasts was you always treat the secretary the same way you treat the CEO.
Absolutely.
And that's I feel like that is something that people should pay more attention to.
That was a tenement, or that was something I picked up from Jimmy.
Yeah.
Because, and we all know this now that we've been working for a few years, we know. The secretaries, the assistant buyers, the clerks, you give them a few years, they become the junior buyers, the procurement managers, and the directors. You got to be nice to everybody when you start out. I've had so many instances come around, both for the good and the bad, where someone that couldn't help me, but I interacted with, sometimes became my boss, sometimes became someone that I needed to buy from.
Yep.
So and once that person comes into that position, now everyone is going to be nice to them. And now, like you said, the interview, you don't want to show your reflective self. You want to show the right person from the get-go. So you should always take the time to be nice to anyone you interact with. You never know. That person may join your team somehow in some capacity. You may need a person with that skill set.
Yep.
So to me, it's just common knowledge. It was drilled into my head from Jimmy at such an early age. I don't even think about these things anymore.
Right.
But when I get on stage or get to speak about them, I'm glad and it gives me joy that other people appreciate hearing this information.
Right.
So the butterflies are gone because, I realize people enjoy this content, and for me, it's a break.
Well, it sounds like you get excited about it. And like if you study the psychology and psychiatry behind like a lot of panic and nerves and stuff like that, it's actually, and again, I have no idea, this is just what I think Simon Sinek says this, the chemical balance from excitement and panic, like anxiety, like from doing something, are the same chemical balance. It's just the way your brain interprets it. Mm-hmm. So like when one person has to go public speak, like they may feel like they're going to faint because they're so nervous, where your brain is translating that as, finally, I get to tell these people like my story. Like I'm so excited to do this. So you go up there like and don't have that fear because you're like excited to talk. That's kind of what it's telling me.
I had it, but yeah. I'll take it back to UConn.
Yeah.
I took public speaking at UConn. Did you?
Yes.
So I was terrified to speak publicly, and I took it as a sophomore. It was an elective.
Yeah.
And I had to get in front of, and there were juniors and older people in that class,
yeah.
people I'd never heard of, and now it's like you're in college, so you're seeing people from other parts of the world now,
right.
all in the same class, and I had to get up and give 4 speeches that semester. And what I learned in that class, I got to choose the subject matter for one. That helped a lot. But when I looked around the room when other people were speaking, right? And they say, imagine everyone around you, is naked to reduce the nerves. That didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But I looked at other people when people were at the front giving a speech. You know what I saw? I saw people doodling in their notebook.
Yeah.
I saw people texting on their phone. I'm like, wait, I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to be nervous after I prepared hours to present this information. These people damn better pay attention when I'm about to present because they're about to get something.
Yeah.
And shame on me if I should be nervous about someone who's not even paying attention.
Yeah.
So if half the audience is not even paying attention, you are selling yourself short to get nervous in front of an audience who's not even watching.
It's a very, very good point. Yeah, because it's such a good point. Something else I just thought of that I don't want to forget, kind of side note, but a little bit back to what you were saying before. I just read something that I think you would find fascinating. I can't remember who did this, but when someone was interviewing for like a big position, they would do this like I think it was like lunch or breakfast or something. They would take the person out, before they were going to offer them something, and they would have the waiter or waitress mess up that person's order on purpose without saying anything to watch how they react. And they would make judgment calls based on that because they knew that person was putting on this perfect, face the entire time, but then when they had a moment of frustration, they got to see how they would react, and I thought that was interesting.
That is very interesting, and just going into like interviewing and hiring, like for me, I'm a big fan of spend the day with our team.
Yeah.
Spend the day with someone on the team.
Right.
See if you like this. See if we like you.
Right.
It really goes both ways.
Yeah, I agree.
Because a lot of times people just see the dollar signs and the job and the stability, and they want it.
Right.
But we want stability. We want someone that's going to be here for 10 years.
Yep.
We don't want turnover in 6 months.
Yep.
So to me, I'm about actionable things that you can actually give someone on the spot without rehearsal, throw them in, and see how they respond. That's how you see the true character, and that's what that test is.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. It's very challenging. I do like the mindset of almost the person interviewing should also kind of be interviewing us too. So when you do something like a ride day, it's almost like, hey, we're going to show you what the job entails. We want to make sure this is really what you want to do. Because the worst thing you can do is hire someone and they, in their mind, think it's going to be one way. And then it's a lot harder or a lot different than what they imagined. And it's just a means to an end before mentally that person is going to check out or switch. So.
Yeah. And we ultimately will rely on that person that you're about to hire.
Right.
So you may have the power or the leverage in that interview process. But what I've learned a lot over my years is one person can't do it alone.
No.
And I've delegated some of the most important tasks to my whole team. Whereas other people before me were not comfortable doing that. But I realized, all right, maybe my value and worth is really high myself, but our company could be doing so much more if I handed these 3 things off and then I could go try to get some more stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So that was me realizing the power of these videos and the power that don't bully someone just because you can. Because you know how powerful it is when, we're a 25-person company, like the 20th person or the 23rd person could bring a win in for your team. And we know in sales, in business, there's times where you need a win in unexpected places at times. And when you get a win from someone that, because you were good to them and you made them feel part of the team and you didn't have to, you built them up and gave them real responsibility with real risk.
Right.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
You change people's lives too, because then they go home 10 times more confident than when they left for work that day. And they're like, they want to tell everybody what they did, the people in their circles. Like it's sharing kind of that hope, that positivity, that confidence, and you really do change people's lives, I think. Like when people hear a story or see something that makes them, inspires them, or builds their confidence, or does something for them, then they do it for someone else, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, to me, show love.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Show love.
Yeah.
Leadership is not bullying. It's not brute force. It's actually easy to do that.
Yeah.
It's easy to take the hammer and just use the hammer all the time.
Right.
It's actually harder to show love.
Yeah.
And take punches from other people and not return them and still show them kindness and love.
Yep.
And I believe in the positivity in people. And there are some people that will take advantage,
right.
But in my opinion, all right, you want to take advantage, you'll be weeded out in time.
Right.
You're going to do that yourself.
Yeah.
But I will give everyone the benefit of the doubt until that happens.
Yeah, they're playing a short game, you're playing a long game.
Yeah. I mean, people's lives are rough and tough.
Yeah.
And I like showing love to my family, my team, the brand advocate Omni family, because it brings me a lot of joy to see people doing things together outside of work, communicating and getting things done. One of my favorite books was Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Yeah, great.
And there's a lot of awesome concepts in that. One of them is the flywheel, about, first the flywheel is going negative, and then you stop it from going negative, and then you slowly turn it, and then it gets faster and faster and faster. We could talk later about that one. They also talk about communication, opportunities, but another one is about speed. They talk about companies die when the speed outside the organization is faster than it is inside the organization. So what inhibits speed? Communication. I think like 60 to 70% of companies that fail, they fail because of lack of communication.
Yeah.
There's silos in the company. There are cliques. There are power players that don't want to communicate with others. So to me, I'm constantly thinking, how do we get this team to communicate more and communicate freely and communicate better? And by doing that, listen, people's personalities don't always mesh.
Right.
They're not going to be best friends. But sometimes it's as simple as when someone sends you an email or someone gives you a call, we need you to get back to them. And it doesn't need to be me telling you to get back to them.
Right.
I need you to do that on your own.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
And we're in a beautiful place where that's happening.
Right. That's
the speed is going like crazy.
Yeah.
And it brings me so much joy when you just hear about people on your team solving problems on their own. These are people that I've elevated, that I've brought along the way, that I've delegated. And I feel like a proud father, and everyone else that's kind of grown and developed, and it's a beautiful harmony and synergy.
They say that the easiest way to tell the health of a company is to see how information transfers from the people on the ground level to the people at the top. And if that information can flow fluidly, that company's healthy. And when the people on the bottom have one perspective and the people on the top have a totally different perspective, that's trouble. And cherish that too, because the company I work for is kind of becoming more corporate, and it is when people feel appreciated and feel like they matter to the company, that same person that you have will do a million times better job than that same exact person who doesn't feel appreciated. It's absolutely incredible. I've seen some things recently where we had some absolute rock stars that feel like their job just got way harder, but they didn't get paid more. Nobody said great job. Their job just got harder for no reason in their head that made sense. And you just see the little things of them, the little extra attention to detail or extra effort or emails at night. it's like it drops off because they don't feel appreciated at work. They don't feel like they're making a difference. So I would cherish that, man, because it is rare, I think, in this, all these big corporations we have. Like, you read stories of working in an Amazon warehouse about how they're hoping you quit after 3 years and all like these big corporations, they have, it's hard to feel like you're making a big difference, I would imagine, in a lot of them. So, hopefully your employees feel appreciated and know they're making a difference, and that probably leads to really good things.
It does. I operate with the mindset every day that my employees can up and leave.
Yeah.
In other industries, you see it right now. There's a labor shortage.
Yeah.
People would rather stay home and make less money and have less stability than go into a job where they don't feel appreciated,
right,
or properly compensated, rewarded, what have you, feel like they're a part of the team.
Right.
Culture is now going to be the difference. There's America is maturing.
Yeah.
There are so many different companies that compete, that do the same thing.
Yeah.
What's going to make the difference is the people.
I agree.
The battle for people is on. Right now. I'm sure you've seen people that graduated from Ivy League schools,
yep,
that don't know how to talk to people.
Right.
And they can't work.
Yep.
And wow, I actually feel bad for that person.
Yep.
And then you have someone that dropped out of college.
Yep.
And that person's a better team player than the person that went to the Ivy League school.
Yep.
And we're just in this weird place in America right now where the battle is on for the best people.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I think that also plays into a little bit one of the things you said was you referenced the beer culture, but the specialization of products, how that's the part of your industry that's growing. That really resonated with me because a friend of mine, for better or worse, got me into these IPA things a few years back, and I love going to these small local breweries that are owned by one person, that they try all these different ways to make beers, and they make this local product in central Massachusetts or western Mass or northern New York or Connecticut, whatever. But there's so many, and they're all different. They're all obviously profitable enough to be running their businesses and growing them. And when these big corporations try to take over those companies or get involved, the demand goes away and they move on to another local one because they love the idea of supporting the local, but not just supporting the local, the creativity that you get. I never worked at a Coca-Cola or a Budweiser or anything like that, but I have to imagine if you had a great idea how to make a new Budweiser product, to get that to the top, and how many board meetings are you going to need to go to present to get a product out there? You know what I mean?
Not only that,
it's crazy.
People at the big companies, how do you get ahead in those big companies? Do you get ahead by taking a risk or playing it safe?
That's a good way to put it.
At the big companies, you get ahead by playing it safe.
You butter up your boss as much as possible, and that's probably playing it safe.
The big companies play it safe because they always have money, and it's almost a game of attrition.
Yeah.
You survive and you advance.
Yeah.
That's how it is in the big companies. And what I've learned in the food industry, for the most part, innovation comes from the entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, agreed.
The people that start a recipe with a friend, or come up with a crazy idea. They start in their garage or the kitchen or some other place.
Right.
The big companies, most of them don't want to waste, they call it waste, but don't want to spend money. Because think about it. If 10 people start a jerky business, 9 out of 10 of those are going to go bankrupt. But one of them is going to become the next major jerky that's $1 billion brand.
Right.
Who wants to bet on 10 different things?
Right. So
what the big brands do is rather than develop it themselves, they'll go out and let some small people innovate, come up with the idea, build it, get it off the ground. You see it with a lot of companies that have been acquired lately.
Yeah.
It's the same dozen brands that acquire all these beautiful, awesome, innovative startups, pay those families handsomely, and now it's in their portfolio and it looks good to their shareholders.
Right. Yeah. But I have to imagine family grocery store, right, that you work with. There's one awesome one up by me, Guido's. There's 3 of them maybe. Amazing grocery store. It's just localized. There's 3 in the Berkshires, I think. I think that's it. Maybe they branched out. I don't know. But if that family or those owners want to make a decision, they saw this product they really like, or they taste it while they're on vacation, they could be like, let's bring this in, let's do this, let's go. But then if you switch over to a Stop and Shop, and that local branch manager or some, wants to get involved, or even like a C-level, let's bring this in, or let's change this, or let's try this differently. It's got to be so much. It's so much harder.
There's a lot of yellow tape.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers of management, and that happens. And that's why the retailers that are more fluid and are more faster reacting and allow more decisions to be made by not one person, they are successful. And that's why certain supermarkets in this area are more successful than others.
Are you seeing a trend in the bigger? Because I feel like I wrote down 3 or 4 things that you were dead on, but at the time, like the meat shortage, you were like, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. When everyone was panicking at that time, and the innovation over the past 5 years is crazier than 25 years. And then the Amazon taking over Whole Foods. Are you seeing the trend going that way in the grocery business, where everyone's going to be gobbled up by a couple big players, and that's the way it's going to go? Or do you see smaller mom and pop groceries thriving right now?
I see it. The industry is being dominated by fewer and fewer players.
Yeah.
The supermarket industry as a whole is in the billions of dollars. It's one of the largest segments.
One of the few that went up during COVID.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, substantially.
Yeah.
If you took $1 in America and split that dollar between supermarkets and restaurants, how do you think that dollar was split in America before COVID?
Oh, before COVID? I have no clue. 50-50?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Good job. It was 50-50.
Okay.
And then overnight, it basically went 80-20 towards supermarkets.
Wow.
And with COVID, the pandemic.
Yeah.
But back to your question, it's a huge industry, but there are thin margins. What I mean by that is you may see a headline that this retailer did $20 billion in sales. They paid a lot of money for that product, for the labor, and for everything else, the legal, the real estate, everything else that comes with it. Yeah. The margins are so thin, some smaller retailers that don't have a lot of cushion built in, it's harder for them to stay in business.
Yeah.
And these larger retailers that have more leverage from the banks, that could borrow more, that could leverage their buying power to put out lower prices and not have it affect them, put the same thing out for $2.50 when it's usually $5.
Right.
They're dominating. So that's a little bit scary for our economy and our society.
And I feel like one of the differences too is one of the concepts you had was you love the automatic registers to get people moving faster and not having to wait in line. And your almost ideal situation was don't get rid of those jobs, move those jobs so people can get the Apple experience in the store.
Yes.
And I love that. I cannot see a publicly traded company ever doing that, though. I could see a small mom and pop doing that because, they're we're still making money, we're still doing well, let's keep these people. But when you're talking about a big company or a publicly traded company where profit's king, they're not gonna have people given a good experience, and it's short-sighted. But
there's a mentality in business leadership that you don't make a change until you need to.
Yeah.
What I was telling supermarkets in that talk was don't wait until people choose other options to then say we're going to invest and make the experience better. Because at that point it's too late.
Right.
Retail. What was happening at retail before the Apple Store? Apple Store revolutionized the store experience. I have not had a bad interaction going to an Apple Store.
Right.
Think about it. Every person who goes in there, they got your name, they got all your information. Any problem you got, you don't leave the store until it's fixed.
Right.
They're like, hey, is there anything else I can help you with?
Yeah.
They make sure you leave satisfied. I can't think of another store that every person that goes in there, they say, make sure you're satisfied before you go.
Right.
And supermarkets, time is money. Time is currency. I can't tell you how infuriating it is to stand at a checkout counter watching the 6 people in front of me when I could so easily walk through. And you see it, there's already cashier-less stores, and it's coming now.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that that's coming. And the battle's on for people. I also, to this day, I'll walk into a supermarket, and I'm like, well, depending on what supermarket you go to, the cereal is in a different aisle, or the milk is in a different aisle. Right. In every store, even if you find a department, it may be in the specialty or the organic set. How nice would it be? Every time you walk into a supermarket, there is a greeter at the front of the store. If you want to walk by that person, if you don't want to look at that person, that's your choice.
Yeah.
But I bet a lot of people would like some help.
Concierge grocery shopping.
The people that do it
I get a list from my
reap
wife.
the rewards.
There's nothing I would like more than to come in and someone would be like, do you want me to help you with your list? And I'll pull up my notes on my phone and be like, yes, please. Because you would also it would also probably sell more products too, because they know the store so much better, where they could be like, hey, you could buy this, but this one's way better. Have you tried this one? Yes.
There's no education in our industry.
Zero. Yeah.
People go in, and this happens to millions of people every day. They walk into a supermarket, and they see brand X, and they see brand Y. And what does it come down to? You're making a split-second decision on what colors you like best, what attributes stand out the best to you, and what name sounds the best to you.
Yep.
You have no idea that this one was made from recycled products, and this one is organic.
Right.
Or that these are both from the same manufacturer,
right.
and one's just a higher quality product than the other. But they're just boxed together, and one's $5.99 and the other's $2.99.
Right.
There's no education. And again, 25 years ago, that was okay. That was the norm. But America has matured, and it's reached a point, and it's on our generation now to educate.
Yep.
Consumers want to know. Like parents that are millennials, just adults that are millennials, they want to know when they buy, like, what's in it. Am I buying the best thing? Because people are not making the best decisions.
Right. One of the things that blew my mind, and I don't even know that this is 100% true, but this is what I was told, and it absolutely blew my mind. I used to love Grey Goose, the vodka, and then someone told me one day that Kirkland, the Costco brand, which is like a third or fourth of the price, is made at the same factory using the same exact vodka. And again, that might be false, but when I heard that, I was like, yeah, how would I even know? It's my taste buds are not that accurate that I could even taste that little tiny difference, but I was like, you could just bottle it differently, brand it differently, market it differently. You could be selling the same product with two different labels for two completely different prices and hitting two different audiences.
Yeah.
It's
and that happens in more places than you think.
I would imagine.
In the supermarket.
That's why I like the local stuff. I'm on a big local trip right now.
So you asked, well, I like local too. I like when I go away for vacation, like hitting the local farmers market, seeing what's up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got to wait and see. Like what we learned in the pandemic was there were rumors about a food shortage, and we actually were pretty close.
Yeah.
Like if the president at the time didn't sign that executive order keeping the distribution facilities open, we would have had a shortage.
Oh, wow.
Like when the president signed that, kept everything open despite COVID being in those plants, that kept demand safe. If that didn't happen, we would have had shortages.
Oh, wow.
What we learned at that time was we're reliant on a few players, and what new legislation was just signed, that billions of dollars are going to be spent to diversify the food supply system so that there's more local options, and they're owned by different ethnicities.
Yeah.
So I think the government realized that there's a few players that are dominating, and you never know what's going to happen when the government gets involved.
Right.
It could be a hit, it could be a miss.
Right.
Because things don't exactly go the way, it's not a guarantee.
But it makes more sense to have more people involved, because you just never know when a company could go belly up, or something goes wrong, or we learn something new that, anything can happen. And if you don't have an option B, like that's why I love Elon Musk. I think I wish we could clone him and more people thinking in that facet. But he's just like, we don't have an option B if the Earth messes up. Like if something happens, we don't have an option B. And so he's like, let's get to Mars and get people on Mars. And it's like crazy, and you're like, what? Like are you nuts? But like that type of mindset, if all stakes are made by one company and something happens to that company, like where are you?
It's a good point. And Musk is brilliant. I wish he would stop trolling so much. I feel like he loves tweeting to get things going like this, but the man is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of companies and industries he's affected, he's brilliant.
It makes no sense to me how one person is doing. Like, how does someone run one company? Like to run that many
cars, rocket ships. I mean,
tunnels now and Starlink.
It's impressive.
So anyway, tell me about this.
All right.
I want to hear about this, because there's a slogan from one of my mentors that says, be the beacon. Always be the light of positive energy in the office. When you hear people in the office bad-mouthing stuff, complaining about stuff, saying how this is wrong, this should be different, be the beacon of light that spreads that positivity and spreads all the good things. Like that's something that has always resonated to me, because for anybody, it's always easy to fall into that. Let me commiserate with other people. Let me, complain, and that's what I see when I see that shirt. But I don't know if that's kind of the same message that you're trying to.
It almost is. So I had been posting it's been almost 5 years now, from when I put out the first video, What is the Network?
Yeah.
To speaking over a dozen times, all this cool stuff.
Yep.
And about a year ago, I coined brand advocate, we talked about earlier. People are like, yeah, I love this, I love this.
Yep.
And there are these mantras that I repeat to myself and to my team about ways to act and to be. And I say, you know what? There's so much demand that I've been getting from people outside Omni, from LinkedIn and the YouTube videos that are saying, I love when you said this. When you said that, that really makes sense. I said, I'm tired of watching other people out there start up brands that are not motivational, that are not inspiring. It's just a cool logo.
Right.
I'm going to put something out there that makes sense. That professionals out there, you, me, people that work in health insurance, people that work in accounting, people that work in investments, all industries could look at and say, that's a way that inspires me every day. So again, it took me a while. It took me a year as well to create, design, and have something ready to come out like it is now. So what we have is the Brand Advocate clothing line. There's 9 different designs on shirts, black and gold, like the ones we got. And there's some polos and some hoodies. And they're all my most impactful favorite sayings.
So, let me make sure I understand. So, Omni is the company you run.
Yes.
And you're almost like, not industry, but like almost like the everyone thinks you guys are brokers, and you're trying to change that mentality to say we're advocates. And maybe your competitors might feel the same way, or maybe they don't, whatever the case may be. But that idea of brand advocacy, like you want to promote that, and so you actually started a clothing line to help build this mindset, because it's not really, it's a mindset, right? It's like, I represent these brands. I'm a brand advocate. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a broker. I'm a brand advocate, and that's what the mission of this is? Or
it started with me wanting to inspire and motivate Omni's team.
Okay.
Because my team represents me.
Right.
I can't be in 20 different places at 20 different times, but my team is.
Right.
My team is in 10 different states every single day. If one of them has a bad day, that comes back to me. I'm responsible for them. So I want them being at their best and brightest every single day. So it started with me saying, I want to design some clothing that my reps can wear when they go in the store. And other brokers come in, they have a regular thing, all right, they may not be excited to be there, but I wanted the store people to know. And you never know who's watching. Right. I want other people who is watching say, holy shoot, that's a conversation starter.
Right.
That is sharp. This person cares to be in the store. Let me see what this person's about. Let me talk to them. I wanted to make an impact. So the first shirt was for strictly my team. The food broker with a line through it, brand advocate, large block letters.
Okay.
And after putting that one out, I thought, I want to make a few more for my team.
Did you have your team wear them like as their
Yes.
daily, when they went to visit clients?
Yeah, they have them now. It's all new. And they're wearing them when they go out.
Nice.
And they're already making an impact from buyers, from people in stores, manufacturers. I left a meeting today where someone said, I don't need perfect, I need possible. I just need possible, which is one of the shirts. And again, him and I never spoke it to him.
Yeah.
We never conversed about it, but he saw it online. And he said it to me at a meeting. Another affirmation that so many people watch, and they're affected by it even if they don't tell you.
Right.
So it started with wanting my team to be the best dressed to make an impact. And then I realized so many people are watching, I don't want to limit this to just Omni. I might as well if I'm going to put this on all these channels that I do, I might as well make something that my friend Joe or my other friends or people in other industries could relate to as well. So that's where they came out. So this one is Be the Lighthouse.
Okay.
And I asked you which one was your favorite. You said this one was your favorite. This is one of my favorites too. So what I learned in starting and working on I told you, the hardest part of my job is generating new business. So I get my mind set. I want to get this account. That's a big account. If I get that, that's slaying the dragon. I'll be a hero. And I don't care if it's going to take me 15 years. I'm going to get this account. And something happened like 5 or 6 years into that. I wasn't getting it. Right? So what I had to learn was, what I did learn was from putting What is the Network out and then the subsequent talks that I was asked to do, every step of the way, other opportunities came to me that I didn't know about, that I didn't think about, that were attracted to me because they saw the light that I was putting out. Oh. And then I thought, it just hit me one day. I was looking at a lighthouse. I was like, what is the purpose of a lighthouse? And they seem kind of antiquated. Who uses lighthouses nowadays? Right. But for those ships lost at sea that we don't know about, they could be coming from all over the world. They're lost. They don't know how to get back to shore. They need help. When they see that light shining, they know, don't turn around, don't go left, go straight. Yeah. That's the way to go. We need to get to land, that's the way we're going to go. And I said, that's how I'm going to operate myself as a person. I'll reach out to the brands that I want to get. Some of them are receptive, some of them are not. But I've picked up business that are bigger targets than ones that I thought were bigger because they found me. That's great. Because I had to change my thinking. So I tell my team, be the lighthouse every day. You know, this may be what we're working on right now, but you never know who's looking at you. When you're packing out a product of X, you don't know who is walking by you in that store that says that could be an even bigger business opportunity, and they may be terribly disappointed with their rep, but they don't know where the other choices are. Right. And that person may be stealing a check from that company because their boss doesn't know what the other options are. So my thing is, be the lighthouse and shine your light. And every time I put a post, or every time I put a video out, I put it out there for everyone to see, and almost every time it's led to something new that I wasn't aiming to get, that came to me. I didn't know anyone from the Korean government or from the UK government or these other institutions. Invitations legitimately came to me because they saw it somewhere, or someone saw it and emailed it to someone else. In today's day and age, you've got to put yourself out there to be found. If you don't put yourself out there to be found, you're at a severe disadvantage. It's not gloating. Right. Some people say, Zak, Zak, you're bragging too much. You're talking about yourself too much. Well, guess what? If I sit in this room, it doesn't matter if I have all the knowledge in the world. If nobody knows about me, it's going to go to waste. Right. So I'm putting it out here, and I'm sorry. Don't take it as I'm bragging. I'm not bragging. I'm not trying to be. I'm putting myself out there, and I'm being found. And I encourage other people to do it. In all other industries, people should be doing it.
Yeah, I love that. Makes sense. It's hard to do, right? It's like people. It's scary to do it, but putting yourself out there, you have to. Like, how else can you differentiate yourself? You got to take risks. You got to let people. And again, it goes back to being genuine. If you're bragging and you're putting on a character, it's not going to work. It's that short-term game, but you're being yourself, putting yourself out there, and people aren't going to be surprised when they meet you and you're the same person they saw on YouTube.
Yes, and thank you for those words too earlier about being the same person. Yeah. You know, the media and the online stuff, it's helped because, yes, I'm excited to do it, and I'm enthusiastic. I'm at this great place, but it's also just what brings people in. Right. This is not the best Zak. The best Zak is when you're in a conference room or in a lunch meeting with me, and we're talking about how to grow the business. Right. This is just getting people in. Right. If you're not a good executor, if you don't have a good team, the marketing online is the best you see. Right. And then you get with them and there's nothing. That's hollow. Right. You know, to me, I spend a lot of time in the bunkers. Yeah. I spend a lot of time practicing what I'm doing. Right. I don't post every week. I don't post an episode every week like some people do. I don't make it a thing to make it a thing. I post when I have something valuable to share. Right. If I speak, I'll put it out. Right. A lot of people don't adhere to that.
Makes sense. Is this the only one? You have a couple others?
No, there's 9 more.
So you have 9 designs.
Yes.
Now, did you design them yourselves, or you came up with an idea? Like, how did you figure this?
I have a partner. Okay. I have someone that he does this. He sources the things and he drafts them and I approve them. Yep. But I come up with an idea and then we work on it together.
Okay, nice. So what are the other ones? What else do we got?
The other one, my other favorite is my own biggest advocate. Okay. So there's brand advocate. We talked about what that means, but that only relates to people in the food industry. What does that mean to you? It doesn't mean anything. You're not a broker or an advocate. Right. But my own biggest advocate is bigger than that. And that's something everyone can believe in. What I mean by that, why I put that one together is, there are people out there, and we all know them, that will take from you until you have nothing else to give. And we know the demands of life are so strong, professionally, personally, to give everything you got to friends, to show up and support at parties, and just being a good friend and family member and colleague and employee. it's draining. Like when you get sick, or if you ever get sick, or if you have something going on that you want to do, there's no one, like, we all have that voice in our head that's like, I should probably take some time off right now.
Right.
Or I should probably, do this for me because I haven't had ice cream in 2 years and I love ice cream, and no one's going to give you that.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do it for yourself. And life is so challenging right now, you have to be your own biggest advocate. Some of us are lucky, and we have loved ones, like your mother, who make sure you're happy all the time. Make sure everything is right, like the laundry is done, you're fed. She used to bring you the food at UConn, I remember. Like, you always had it.
Yeah.
Not everybody has someone like that all the time.
Right.
And that's what my own biggest advocate is. Some people need to say no to other people. And it's not being selfish. It's, I need to protect my own mental here.
Right.
Or else I'm going to go into the ground, or I'm going to go here, but I'm going to be nasty.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a scene, and I'm not going to be pleasant.
Right.
That's what my own biggest advocate is.
I like that. You got to believe in yourself. You got to set boundaries. You got to be confident, and you got to, be yourself.
Yeah.
Oh.
Another one is, I don't need perfect, I just need possible. And basically what that one is, I'm just tired of sitting around in meetings and people complaining about why we can't do something. No shit. Of course it's not lined up perfectly. That's why we're here talking about it. We're here to solve a problem.
Yeah.
If it's all done already, there's no need for us. So understand, walk into something knowing that it's going to be messed up.
Right.
The joy is in the journey, not the destination.
I like that.
So enjoy taking something that was all the way down. You had to take it 8 steps to get it to the end, rather than expecting it to be at the 9th step and all you got to do is plug it in. Go into it with that mindset. And for those in sales and in business, you got to do things yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to have a lot of intuition. It takes a lot. So don't expect it to be perfect. Just give me the chance. As long as there's a chance, I'll figure out a way, and I'll take a chance to get it done.
I like that. Because when people that are trying to be perfect, I feel like they stunt themselves. Like they don't execute because they're too afraid it's going to be perfect. You want to go all in, figure it out, and it might be ugly, but as long as you keep that end goal in mind, you'll get it done.
Yeah. It's about just putting an effort forth.
Nice.
When you adjust your mindset going into something, you're able to deal with something that comes to you at a low level.
Right.
And the true mark of a strong leader is being able to take something that comes to you at a low level and take it all the way up. Whereas I feel a lot of people feel like it needs to come to me perfect, or I need to make it perfect. A lot of things are a process. They take time.
I like that. So that's 3?
So yeah, be the lighthouse is 1. My own biggest advocate's 2.
Perfect.
I don't need perfect possible is 3. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. It's number 4.
It's true.
It's so true. Learned it over the years. Of course, it's faster and easier. You know this. You're a vice president, to go through and do things yourself.
Right.
You could do it fast. It takes you so much time, perhaps multiple times, to train people to do something.
Right.
Even once you give them everything to do it, they still may not do it right.
Right.
But over time, if you want your company to be the most successful, you've got to give and then get the help from other people.
It's also more fun. I feel like when you sell, like if you get your win by yourself, it's like but like if you get a win with a team where everyone like chipped in and did their own part, and like it's getting that win is so exciting when a whole team is doing it together.
It's so gratifying. You know this because you put a lot of wins up yourself. I mean, for you to elevate the way you have, you've been successful selling. You know how to do it. I bet now you probably get more joy seeing people that you trained get it done, because like you can do it, but if you can like train someone else to do it, that means you essentially did it, but you helped someone else to do it.
Yeah, I love it. It's planting the seeds, watering, and hopefully some of them grow.
And not only that, it's necessary, because for you to elevate and grow, you can't handle everything you handled before.
Right.
You have to give that to someone else.
Right.
So we talked about teamwork earlier, but it's absolutely imperative. For me at Omni, I learned early on that I got to have a team. Yeah. And I gave these things out, and it's been the best decision I've ever made.
Awesome. All right. So that's 4.
Yeah. I got them all.
I love it. What made you pick? Did you pick 9 for a reason, or was it just kind of they just kept coming to you?
They just kept coming to me. It wasn't a reason. They just kept coming to me. So another one is not all days are created equal. With hustle 24/7, 365 in a circle with a line through it.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people nowadays who talk about just go hustle every day for the next 3 years, and then or the next 5 years, and you'll be set for the next 25 years. I'm like, hold on. Not only is that incorrect, you can hustle for 3 years and not be set for the next 20 years,
right.
But you're going to burn yourself out. It's not healthy. You're going to develop a personality disorder. You're going to alienate other people around you. You're not going to eat right. You're not going to exercise right. You're not going to have healthy relationships with friends and family.
Yeah.
What I get at the core is the whole hustle your face off and all that. No. Not all days are created equal. There's a huge value on being mentally sound, on being physically fit, on being a well-rounded person. Those are the kinds of people that I want.
Yeah.
I don't want people that are angry and stressed and work themselves into the ground. That's not a recipe for success.
Right.
We're seeing it. There's a wave on mental
Yeah.
health right now. There's a wave because for the last 20 years it just wasn't talked about.
Right.
Like you said, you don't know what you're doing? Fine, just leave.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're understanding we need to get yoga involved. People need to get some movement in their daily activity. People need to get some interaction in their day. We can't treat ourselves like robots. We got to be good to each other as people. We got to, because this is all we got. We're all here.
Yeah.
We're all in this land together.
Yeah. I forget, was it Warren Buffett or someone said, you work so hard your whole life to make a ton of money, and then you use all that money trying to make yourself healthy because of all the health problems you have from working so hard.
Yeah. I mean, people want to live right now, even if that means having a little bit less.
Yeah.
So that was one other design. The show goes on. It's the show goes on, and then all around it are things that happen. So a buyer that you were really close with retired. A new competitor entered your business. Someone that was on your team quit. A competitive advantage that you had is now gone. All these things, someone lied to you. There was envy. There was jealousy. There was broken promises. A million things that could happen. The show goes on. I've had buyers that I've had really great relationships with. I've had buyers that I did not have the best relationship with. But I've lost them both. And I have the same mentality. When that good person leaves, the show goes on. Give me the new buyer, and let me start from the bottom. When that bad buyer leaves, all right, maybe I feel a little bit better. We didn't have the best relationship. The show goes on. It works for your pro and your con. But you got to have that mindset and be ready. You're ready for whatever could happen.
Yeah.
Anything. Left, right, north, south. You're still going to be the same person that's going to go out and execute. The show goes on for everybody.
But the happiest animal in the world is?
Dog?
Goldfish.
Goldfish.
You know why?
Why?
Their memory is 5 or 10 seconds.
Oh, I feel bad for them that their memory is
No,
so
but you
short.
think about it, why do you get upset and why do you feel like the world's ending? Is because you can't stop thinking about what just happened. You lose a big account, and my year could have been different. I could have bought this. I could have did this. I would have got this commission check. And it wears you down. But
Absolutely.
The show goes on. It's kind of same concept as forget about it. Move on to the next one. Keep rolling.
Yeah.
Don't let that take you down. Forget about it.
My biggest lessons have been from from losses, from when I have lost.
100%.
And I don't publish them.
Yeah.
I don't talk about them. That's the proprietary stuff.
Yeah.
But believe me when I tell you,
Yeah.
I have lost.
Yeah.
And it's made me sick to my stomach.
Right.
And I learn more from that than when I get a high from getting signed for a new client that's really big.
Right.
That stuff teaches me a lesson.
Yeah.
And I had to learn. When I got those losses early on, I thought the world was going to end.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so bad on myself. I put pressure on myself. Learn the lesson. Identify what you did wrong. But now go out there and now put up a win. Don't beat yourself up because now it's going to screw you up for the next one.
Right.
Be ready for the next one.
I like that. The show goes on. It's a good one.
Yeah. And then perhaps my favorite is the intersection of passion and purpose. We talked about this earlier about this is a rare place.
So hard to
and
find.
when you get to that place, it's such a beautiful thing to see. That's when, like, you're working long hours, but not because you have to. Like, you're working long hours because you can't wait to get something done.
Yeah.
Like, on Sunday night, your heart starts to race because, yes, finally, all right, go to sleep, wake up, now I can go do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's a rare thing.
Yeah.
And I'm at that. And I have a lot of people around me at Omni. Like, we have a hand-selected team of all people that are like that.
Nice.
Like, they will work nights, they will work weekends, they will not tell me about it. They will do things just because it's the right thing to do,
Right.
and it comes back to me from other people.
Right.
Like, in compliments, like, hey, did you know that this person did this? Or this person went out all
That's
weekend?
the best. Yeah.
And I'm like, I will do whatever that person wants
Right.
within reason, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that one a lot. These are good, man. These are good, like little life lessons. You should make like a little commercial on each one, and like, you know, because they're so true, and they're like I'm a big fan of those like little like posters, like the little online like quotes from people. You see those sometimes randomly, like scrolling through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It just changes your mindset for that second, and that could, you know.
That's it. Yeah, it turns the light on.
Yep.
Now instead of being stressed, you're going in the right direction.
Right.
That was the point for me to make the shirts. I want to make, I'm at this place now where I'm in a groove. I'm in a good spot. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm producing well at Omni. I have stability at home, and I want to help give that to others. Because, we all look on the news and see terrible things happen every day. We need to show love to each other. As corny as that sounds, we need to show love.
Agreed.
And if other people could take that or have a good day, saying, I don't need perfect, I just need possible, I'm going to figure this out.
It spreads.
To me, like, that's what we're here for. Spread love and elevate positivity, and if it could help the business too, why not?
Love it. Couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Any others?
I just have the BA logo, which is pretty sharp. Sit right there.
I like it.
So it's just a big, large BA logo.
I like it. How'd you pick the colors?
Those are Omni's colors, the black and gold.
Oh, okay.
So I stayed within our scheme.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
They're sharp. They stand out.
Thank you. No, they're going to be available on the store now. Again, it's been a while, but omnifs.com is the store. There will be an Instagram store too.
You can buy them right through there?
You can buy them right through there.
Okay.
Yep, right there. They're reasonably priced. Not doing this to make money starting a brand.
Right.
I'm doing this to raise awareness for Omni and increase positivity. This Omni's core business is still our core business. I want to bring some more light to what we're doing. And if more people can wear this and get something out of it, and it brings the attention of the right people, that's the goal.
All right. Well, I know you're spreading up to Connecticut, Massachusetts, so I hope I see one of these shirts at my local grocery store. I'm gonna shout you out and say hello to whoever's wearing it. Whether
will.
it's one of your employees or some random person.
You will. No, we have reps in the stores now in all the Stop and Shops, all the Big Ys, the Shaws, the Market Baskets. That was a new opportunity that started in January. We've been offered that opportunity a few years ago, but similar to what I told you previously, I want to have the right team in place.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take on business I wasn't ready for.
Right.
Once I had the right team in place, I said, hey, we're ready. They were like, we need you. Let's go. We went in, and it's proved to be really fruitful from the get-go. So I'm super thankful. I'm super blessed. Have a new great team that we've built from the ground floor, and I'm super happy to be doing Omni's work, not just in New York and the Metro New York area, but now the Boston market as well.
That's great, man. Big Y's a big one. They're growing. I see them all over the place.
Yeah.
They're getting up there. That's good, man. I'm so happy for you. I love what you're doing. Thanks for having me a part of this, and I'll definitely be. I'm gonna wear this shirt every time I go to the grocery store, so that way.
That's a plus, and I got some for your father too. I'm gonna get some for Rachel too.
Right,
yeah, wear them whatever you can. That'll be a major plus, and I appreciate this. Couldn't have this conversation with everybody because we've known each other for a long time. A lot has happened since we were in college together, but we both kind of learned, figured things out for ourselves. We're both leaders now. It wasn't smooth along the way for both of us.
Right.
And maybe there's some other people out there that could take something from this and or maybe reach out if they want help, or you never know who we could have just helped by putting this out there.
I hope so. That'd be great. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, man.
This is the new Metro New York market.